Hey everyone, and welcome back. We're back with another deep dive. And this time, fellas, this one's especially for you, or at least it's going to start with you.
Right, bring it on.
We're talking about the surprising ways your diet, yes, your diet can impact your journey to fatherhood.
I like it. Busting those myths right from the get-go.
You know how it is. When couples are trying to conceive, there's always this, well, let's say an emphasis on what the woman needs to be eating.
Right. Like it's all on her plate. Literally.
Exactly. But the truth is, fellas, your dietary choices play a huge role too.
Couldn't agree more. It takes two to tango, and it takes two to make a healthy baby.
Okay, so to really dig into this, we're turning to, well, the experts. We found a really interesting article from the Times of India. It's called 7 Foods Men Should Avoid When Trying to Conceive. And it's not just about the what to avoid, but the why.
Yeah, and that's key, right? Understanding the why can be a real game changer when it comes to making lasting changes.
Totally. So let's jump right in with some of the usual suspects, shall we? We're talking processed foods, fast food, anything you might grab on the go. Oh, and we can't forget the excessive alcohol.
Yeah, those are the ones that we often know, like deep down, that we should probably cut back on.
But do we really understand why? I mean, beyond just like a general, it's not good for you kind of thing.
Well, think of it this way. Imagine your body is like a factory, right? And its job is to produce healthy sperm.
Okay, I like where this is going. So we're talking about like a well-oiled machine.
Exactly. But when you're constantly feeding it junk processed foods, sugary drinks, all those things, it's like throwing a wrench in the gears.
So we're talking about more than just like feeling sluggish or gaining a few pounds.
Oh yeah, we're talking about real impacts on your hormonal balance. These foods can mess with your body's ability to produce testosterone, which is crucial for healthy sperm production.
Okay, that makes sense. But what about like the actual sperm themselves? Can these foods really impact their, I don't know, their quality?
Absolutely. We're talking about potential damage to sperm DNA, and that's not something you can necessarily see or feel.
Damaged DNA. Okay, that sounds serious.
It is. This means that even if you have plenty of sperm, their ability to actually fertilize an egg and create a healthy embryo can be compromised.
Wow. All right, I'm definitely starting to rethink that extra slice of pizza.
It's about making choices that give those little swimmers the best possible chance. And sometimes that means making some tough calls about what we're putting into our bodies.
Now, this next one really surprised me. Apparently, high mercury fish, things like swordfish and tuna, those can also be a problem.
Yeah, this one often throws people off. Because on the one hand, we're told fish is good for you.
Right, omega-3s and all that.
Exactly. But it's all about balance. High levels of mercury, like you find in those larger fish, it can actually, well, it can damage sperm DNA.
Again, with the DNA, it seems like that's a recurring theme here, that it's not just about the quantity of sperm, but also their...
Integrity, their quality, their ability to do their job, which is to fertilize an egg.
Okay, so we're not just talking about boosting our chances of conception, but also making sure that
You're giving your future children the best possible start in life.
Okay, get ready for a curveball because this one really threw me for a loop. Soy. As in, soy milk, tofu, edamame, all that good stuff. Turns out, too much of it might not be so good for sperm count.
This is a perfect example of how even foods we think of as healthy can have unexpected consequences, especially when it comes to fertility.
I always thought soy was like a superfood.
And in moderation, it can be part of a healthy diet. But soy contains these compounds called isoflavones, and they can actually mimic the effects of estrogen in the body.
Wait, estrogen, like the hormone that women produce?
Exactly. And while men do need a small amount of estrogen, excessive soy consumption could potentially disrupt the delicate hormonal balance needed for optimal sperm production.
So it's not about avoiding soy altogether, but maybe just,
Being mindful of how much you're consuming. Especially if you're trying to conceive, it's all about finding that balance.
All right, so we've talked about hidden dangers and things like soy. But what about everyone's favorite morning pick-me-up, caffeine? I have a feeling this one might hit a little too close to home for some of us out there.
You're not wrong. A lot of people wonder about caffeine's impact on fertility, and yeah, the article does point to it as a potential area of concern.
Okay, so spill the beans. Is it time for me to say goodbye to my morning coffee?
Hold on. Before you ditch your favorite mug, it's important to make a distinction here. The article specifically calls out energy drinks as a potential culprit for lower sperm count.
Ah, okay. So we're talking about those super caffeinated beverages, not just a regular cup of joe.
Exactly. We're talking about those drinks packed with sugar, artificial ingredients, and enough caffeine to fuel a rocket ship.
Right.
While more research is needed, some studies have linked high-energy drink consumption not only to lower sperm count, but also to potential impacts on sperm DNA.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, those things are basically a chemical cocktail, right? But what about like a regular cup of coffee? Do I really need to give that up?
Listen, no need to panic. The article actually suggests keeping your caffeine intake to under 200 milligrams per day.
200 milligrams. Okay, so how much is that in like normal person terms?
Well, think of it as about a strong cup of coffee.
So as long as you're not downing multiple espressos throughout the day, you should be all right.
Okay, so I can handle that. One strong cup a day. Got it. Because I'll be saving those extra caffeine superpowers for those late-night feedings once the baby arrives.
That's the spirit. And remember, it's not just about coffee. Be mindful of hidden sources of caffeine, like certain teas, some sodas, even chocolate. It all adds up.
Right, good point. Now, speaking of things that might not be so sweet for sperm health, let's talk about sugar, because I have a feeling this one might sting a little bit for some of us.
You're right on the right track. The article definitely calls out sugary drinks as potential troublemakers when it comes to fertility.
So we're talking those sugary sodas, those fancy coffee drinks, even the artificially sweetened stuff, those are all on the naughty list. You got it. And what's interesting here is that the article links high sugar intake to a couple of things. First, we've already talked about inflammation, which, as we know, can be harmful to sperm. But sugar is also being looked at for its potential impact on something called sperm motility.
Sperm motility. Okay, for those of us who might not be fluent in sperm speak, what exactly does that mean?
Good question. Basically, motility refers to the sperm's ability to swim, its ability to move efficiently towards the egg.
Ah, okay, so it's like, imagine trying to swim in a pool full of molasses. It's not going to be pretty, right?
Exactly, and that's what we're talking about with sugar potentially affecting motility. It's like sending those little swimmers out for a marathon with weights strapped to their ankles. They're just not going to perform at their best. And remember, it's not just sugary drinks in isolation. It's about looking at the bigger picture of our diets. A diet consistently high in processed sugar that's rarely going to do any favors for our overall health. And that includes our reproductive systems.
It's funny how it all circles back to making those overall healthy choices, right?
Absolutely. It's about creating an environment within your body where those little swimmers can thrive. And remember, we're not just talking about like increasing the odds of conception. We're talking about the health of your future children. And that's a pretty powerful motivator.
It really is. And while we've been focusing on men and their dietary choices, let's not forget that a healthy diet is beneficial for both partners.
100%. A healthy lifestyle, which includes a balanced diet, is always a good idea. But it takes on an even greater importance when you're thinking about starting or growing your family. It's a team effort, after all.
It really is a team effort all the way. You know what I mean?
Totally. And it's the perfect segue into another important point about all of this. We've been really focusing on the food we eat.
Right, like what's on our plates.
Exactly. But it's important to remember that diet, while crucial, it's just one piece of this whole fertility puzzle. There's so much more to it.
Yeah, it's like you wouldn't train for a marathon and just eat energy bars all day. You'd have to think about sleep, stress, all that.
Exactly. It's about taking a holistic approach. So yeah, managing stress is huge, getting enough sleep, staying active. These all play a role too.
So it's really about looking at our overall lifestyle, making sure we're firing on all cylinders, right? Not just swapping out the soda for water.
Exactly. It's about setting yourselves up for success, both as individuals and as future parents.
Love that. Taking control of your health and making these choices, pretty empowering when you think about it.
Absolutely.
Well, as we wrap up our deep dive into all things preconception and nutrition for men, I want to leave everyone with a bit of a challenge this week. Given everything we've talked about today, what one dietary change feels like the most impactful for you to start with?
Yeah, think about that. And don't underestimate the power of small changes. Even just swapping out one sugary drink a day for a glass of water can make a difference.
So true. And, talk to your partner about it. Maybe there are some changes you can tackle together. After all, you're in this as a team. That's it for our deep dive this week. Until next time, be well and happy prepping.